Dawn is desperate to escape Emmerdale, but just when it seems like she may finally have a way out, Jo could be about to pull the rug from underneath her. A carefully planned trap, a dangerous secret, and one wrong move could leave Dawn with nowhere left to run. The latest Emmerdale drama is putting Dawn in an increasingly impossible position. What started as an attempt to protect herself and those around her has turned into a desperate fight for freedom. But Jo appears to be several steps ahead, and his latest move could completely destroy Dawn's escape plan. So what exactly has Jo planned, and could Dawn be walking straight into the trap without even realizing it? Dawn's situation has been getting more complicated with every passing episode. She has found herself caught up in circumstances that have made staying in the village feel almost impossible. For Dawn, leaving isn't simply about wanting a fresh start. It could be about putting distance between herself and a situation that has become increasingly dangerous. But escaping Emmerdale is never as simple as packing a bag and driving away. The village has a way of bringing secrets back to the surface, and Dawn has plenty of reasons to be nervous. The more she tries to protect herself, the more attention her actions could attract. That is where Jo comes in. Jo has become a major obstacle in Dawn's plans, and his presence has changed the entire situation. Rather than allowing Dawn to disappear quietly, he appears determined to make sure she cannot simply walk away. And the most worrying part is that Jo may not need to confront Dawn directly. Instead, he could use her own plans against her. That is what makes the latest twist so dangerous. Dawn may believe she has finally found a route out of the village. She may have convinced herself that if she moves quickly enough, keeps her head down, and avoids attracting suspicion, she can finally put everything behind her. But Jo could already know exactly what she is planning. If he does, Dawn's biggest weakness could be her desperation. When someone feels trapped, they often make decisions they would normally avoid. They take risks. They trust the wrong people. And they overlook details because they're focused on getting away. Jo could exploit precisely that. Instead of stopping Dawn immediately, he could allow her to believe that her escape plan is working. That would make the eventual trap even more devastating. Imagine Dawn preparing to leave, believing that the difficult part is finally over. She has made her arrangements, gathered what she needs, and perhaps even said goodbye to the people closest to her. Then, at the last possible moment, everything falls apart. That is the kind of soap twist Emmerdale is known for. And there is another reason Dawn should be worried. The longer she remains in the village, the more likely it becomes that somebody will notice something isn't right. A strange conversation, a missing item, or an unexplained change in her behavior could be enough to raise questions. Jo may not need physical evidence if he can simply put Dawn under pressure. Once someone starts panicking, they can reveal far more than they intended. That could be Jo's real strategy. Rather than chasing Dawn, he could simply create a situation where she exposes herself. This would also explain why his latest move could be so effective. Dawn is already under enormous pressure. She doesn't know who she can trust, and every decision carries consequences. If Jo manages to convince her that someone close to her has betrayed her, she could react impulsively. And one impulsive decision could be enough to ruin everything. Fans of Emmerdale know that escape storylines rarely go according to plan. Characters may believe they're finally getting a clean break, only to discover that a hidden detail has been waiting to destroy their plans. Dawn could be heading toward exactly that kind of nightmare. Her biggest challenge may not even be Jo himself. It could be the fact that she doesn't know just how much he already knows. If Jo has discovered her intentions, then every move Dawn makes could already be part of his plan. She might think she is avoiding him while unknowingly moving closer to the trap. That possibility makes the upcoming drama particularly tense. The emotional stakes are also huge. Dawn isn't simply trying to leave a place behind. She is trying to regain control over her own life. When someone has spent a long time feeling trapped, the idea of finally escaping can become all-consuming. That can make it incredibly difficult to stop and think. Jo could use that desperation to his advantage. He could offer Dawn exactly what she thinks she wants, only to take it away at the last moment. And if that happens, Dawn could find herself facing an even bigger problem than before. Her escape attempt could expose her. Once that happens, there may be no easy way back. This is where the storyline could become particularly emotional. Dawn has people she cares about in the village, and any decision she makes could affect them too. If Jo puts pressure on her by threatening someone close to her, Dawn may be forced to choose between protecting herself and protecting somebody else. That would create a brutal dilemma. Does she continue with her escape and risk leaving someone vulnerable? Or does she stay and potentially put herself in even greater danger? Either way, there may be no perfect choice. And that is exactly the kind of impossible situation that can drive a character toward a breaking point. The reaction from viewers is likely to be intense because Dawn's situation is easy to understand emotionally. Even if audiences disagree with some of her decisions, watching someone desperately search for a way out naturally creates sympathy. Joe, meanwhile, is becoming an increasingly threatening presence because his motives and methods make him difficult to predict. That uncertainty is what keeps viewers guessing. Is Joe genuinely trying to stop Dawn? Does he have another motive? Could he be trying to force her into making a mistake? Or is there an even bigger secret waiting to be revealed? At this stage, the most dangerous possibility is that Dawn believes she understands Joe when she actually doesn't. Soap villains and antagonists are often most effective when they stay one step ahead. And if Joe has deliberately allowed Dawn to think she has a chance of escaping, the eventual revelation could be devastating. There is also the possibility that Dawn could realize the trap just in time. She may notice something that doesn't make sense. Perhaps somebody says something they shouldn't know. Perhaps an arrangement suddenly changes. Or perhaps Dawn simply senses that something is wrong. If she manages to recognize Joe's plan before it's too late, the story could take an entirely different direction. Instead of being the victim of the trap, Dawn could turn the tables. That would give her a chance to regain some control. But doing so could come with its own risks. If Joe realizes that Dawn knows what he's doing, he could escalate the situation. And that could turn an attempted escape into a much more dangerous confrontation. The question then becomes whether Dawn has enough support around her to fight back. Characters caught in these kinds of storylines often discover unexpected allies. Someone who seemed unimportant could suddenly become crucial. Someone Dawn doesn't fully trust could provide the information she needs. Or someone close to Joe could finally realize exactly what he is planning. That could be the key to Dawn's survival. At the same time, fans shouldn't assume that everything will end with a simple escape. Emmerdale has a habit of taking a storyline in a completely unexpected direction. Dawn could leave. She could be forced to stay. She could expose Joe. Or she could make a decision that changes her future permanently. The possibilities are wide open. What seems clear is that Joe's trap could represent a major turning point. If Dawn's escape plan collapses, she could become even more desperate than before. And desperation can lead to dangerous choices. She may decide that running is no longer enough. She may have to confront the person standing in her way. That would transform the storyline from an escape attempt into a battle for control. For Dawn, the next few developments could therefore be some of the most important of her entire story. And for viewers, the biggest mystery is whether Joe's plan will succeed. If it does, Dawn could lose the one opportunity she believed would finally give her freedom. If it fails, Joe could find himself exposed and potentially facing consequences of his own. Either outcome could have major consequences for the village. The emotional fallout could be just as significant. Dawn may struggle to trust people after discovering that someone was manipulating her. Relationships could be damaged. Secrets could come out,